Ilias, a young man whose ambition burned with an almost desperate intensity, often found himself staring at the faded ledger on his kitchen table, a grim testament to his family's suffocating debt. Each number was a chain, binding him to a future he refused to accept for his younger sister, Lily. Her innocent laughter, echoing through their modest apartment, was both his greatest joy and the heaviest burden. He devoured stories of overnight success, tales of individuals who had somehow bypassed the tedious climb, discovering the lazy way to wealth. These narratives became his obsession, flickering beacons in the encroaching darkness of his financial despair. It was during one of his late-night research sessions that Ilias stumbled upon the Syndicate. The name itself whispered of exclusivity and power. Soon after, a charismatic figure named Marcus materialized in his online world, promising effortless riches through a mysterious, tightly knit network. Marcus's words were honeyed, painting vivid pictures of a life free from financial constraints, a life where hard work was optional and fortunes were simply acquired. Ilias, initially skeptical, felt his resistance crumble piece by piece, replaced by a potent cocktail of desperation and burgeoning hope. The Syndicate, Marcus explained, preyed on the vulnerable, offering a tantalizing shortcut to financial freedom, a path Ilias now desperately craved. His first tasks were deceptively simple, minor ethically questionable assignments that felt more like games than genuine transgressions. He moved digital assets, obscured online trails, and facilitated discreet information exchanges. A rush of power coursed through him with each successful completion, a heady sensation of being part of something larger, something influential. Small sums of money began to flow into his account, enough to alleviate the immediate pressure on his family, to buy Lily the new shoes she needed, to cover the overdue utility bills. Yet amidst this newfound ease, Lily, with her perceptive eyes, started to notice his late nights, his guarded phone calls, the subtle shift in his demeanor. Her concerns, though unspoken, hung heavy in the air between them. Then came the request that shattered his fragile peace. Ilias was asked to compromise a competitor's data, a direct violation of every ethical principle his father had instilled in him. He grappled with the decision, the memory of his father's unwavering integrity, a sharp, stinging rebuke. The image of the ledger, of Lily's hopeful face, warred with his conscience. Ultimately, the promise of a secure future for Lily, a life free from the shadows of debt, swayed him. He rationalized it, convincing himself it was for her, a necessary evil for a greater good. The tasks escalated rapidly. What began as minor transgressions morphed into complex operations involving manipulating stock prices and insider trading. Ilias witnessed the Syndicate's ruthlessness firsthand, seeing others who failed or questioned their methods disappear from the network, their digital footprints erased as if they had never existed. It was during one particularly tense operation that he encountered Clara, a sharp-witted rival, whose eyes held a similar haunted intensity to his own. She warned him, her voice low and urgent, about the Syndicate's true nature, about their disposable members, about the inevitable cost of easy money. Seeds of doubt began to sprout in Ilias's mind. The easy money was coming at an increasingly high cost to others, to businesses, to lives. He overheard hushed conversations, fragments of sentences that suggested the Syndicate exploited its own members, using them until they were no longer useful, then discarding them. The chilling realization dawned upon him. He was merely a pawn in a much larger, darker game, a game with rules he still didn't fully comprehend. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. One night, driven by a growing unease he couldn't shake, Ilias delved deeper into the Syndicate's encrypted servers, venturing beyond his assigned access points. What he found sent a cold dread through him, a hidden document detailing the Syndicate's true objective, a plan that directly jeopardized his family, specifically targeting the small business owned by a close family friend. The document, a cold, clinical blueprint of financial destruction, laid bare the Syndicate's true objective. A meticulously orchestrated scheme to systematically bankrupt a series of small businesses, stripping them of their assets before dissolving them into shell corporations. Elias's eyes fixated on a name, highlighted in crimson, one that punched the air from his lungs. The beloved struggling hardware store owned by old Mr. Henderson. A man who had taught Elias how to fix his first bicycle chain and whose kindness had been a quiet constant in his turbulent youth. The lazy way to wealth now felt like a moral quicksand, each step sinking him deeper into a mire of complicity. His previous justifications, the carefully constructed narratives about securing Lily's future, crumbled into dust, replaced by a suffocating wave of guilt and a terror born of direct responsibility. He had not merely observed, he had facilitated. In the throes of his despair, a familiar face appeared from the digital shadows. Clara. Her message was cryptic, yet urgent, hinting at shared dangers. When they finally met, in a coffee shop buzzing with the oblivious chatter of morning commuters, her eyes, once sharp with rivalry, now held a deep, weary understanding. Clara revealed she too had been ensnared by the syndicate, a pawn in their elaborate game, her ambition twisted into unwilling servitude. She spoke of the day she realized the depth of their depravity, the moment she decided to break free. Now, she sought not just freedom, but redemption. She offered Elias a way out, a perilous path that involved exposing the entire insidious network. Their shared desire for justice, for dismantling the machine that had used and abused them, forged an uneasy yet potent alliance. Marcus, however, was no fool. He possessed an almost preternatural ability to sense shifts in loyalty, to sniff out dissent before it fully bloomed. Subtle changes in Elias's digital footprint, a slight hesitation in his reports, were enough. Marcus initiated a series of carefully calibrated psychological assaults. He'd send Elias seemingly innocuous messages, laced with reminders of the family debt he had so recently alleviated, subtly highlighting the benefits Elias had reaped from the syndicate's patronage. Then the threats began. Not direct, not immediately physical, but veiled implications about the fragility of certain innocent bystanders, a chilling reference to Lily's safety. Marcus's voice, once so smooth and reassuring, now carried an unmistakable edge of menace, a promise of swift and brutal consequences should Elias stray too far from the fold. He was attempting to reassert his control, tightening the invisible chains that bound Elias. Driven by a renewed sense of purpose, Elias and Clara began their dangerous quest to gather irrefutable evidence against the syndicate. They moved through the digital underworld like phantoms, meticulously piecing together data fragments, intercepting encrypted communications, and documenting the network's illicit activities. Every shadow seemed to hold watchful eyes, every digital interaction a potential trap. They faced constant surveillance, their every move scrutinized, and their attempts to access deeper layers of the syndicate's architecture were met with sophisticated sabotage. One harrowing evening, as Elias was walking Lily home from her evening class, a black sedan sped past them. Too close, too deliberate, the glint of a dark window lingering for a fraction too long. The cold dread that seized him, the terror that Lily was no longer just a motivation but a target, further fueled his desperate determination. The increasing danger, coupled with his growing secrecy, inevitably led to a painful confrontation with Lily. Her youthful innocence had been replaced by a worried frown, her questions sharper, more insistent. She demanded to know why he was so distant, why he seemed constantly on edge, why strange cars sometimes idled near their apartment. Elias, torn between protecting her and confiding in her, confessed a partial truth, admitting his involvement in something dangerous but carefully concealing the full, terrifying extent of the syndicate's threat. The conversation ended in a tearful misunderstanding, a painful rift forming between them, driven by fear on both sides. Elias and Clara, convinced they had enough to trigger a devastating public exposure, prepared to leak their meticulously compiled dossier. They orchestrated a complex plan, aiming to release the information simultaneously across multiple secure platforms, ensuring maximum impact and minimal chance of suppression. But Marcus, always several steps ahead, anticipated their move. As they accessed the designated drop point, the digital environment around them dissolved. Firewalls slammed shut, access points vanished, and their secure connection fragmented into nothingness. They had walked into a carefully laid trap. The syndicate's digital net closed around them, their escape route compromised, their carefully constructed plan collapsing. Suddenly, Elias's phone vibrated with a single chilling message. An image of Lily walking home from school, taken from a distance, accompanied by a simple, ominous text. "She's so vulnerable, isn't she?" He was cornered, with no obvious escape, and the ultimate threat now hung directly over his sister. The image of Lily, vulnerable and unaware, ignited a primal fury within Elias. There was no time for despair, only action. His mind, honed by months of navigating the syndicate's labyrinthine systems, raced through possibilities. He knew their weaknesses, their blind spots. With a surge of adrenaline, he exploited a rarely used maintenance backdoor, a digital ghost in the machine Marcus had overlooked. Clara, understanding his unspoken command, acted as a crucial diversion, flooding the syndicate's internal network with decoy data packets, drawing their attention away from Elias's desperate maneuver. Alarms blared, virtual tripwires were triggered, but Elias, moving with a desperate grace, slipped through the digital net. A tense chase ensued, not through city streets, but through firewalls and encrypted tunnels, Marcus's digital enforcers hot on his heels. Elias narrowly avoided capture, his fingers flying across the keyboard, each keystroke a gamble against Lily's safety. He knew that simply escaping wasn't enough. Marcus would never stop. The only way to truly protect Lily was to burn the syndicate to the ground, expose Marcus and his empire from within. Elias made a high-stakes move, a calculated risk that would either free them all or condemn them entirely. He didn't just escape, he left a digital breadcrumb, a hidden backdoor to a trove of incriminating data, designed to be triggered only when he was ready. This act put him directly in Marcus's crosshairs, making him the ultimate target, but it was a sacrifice he was willing to make for Lily. With Clara's remote assistance working from a secure, undisclosed location, Elias orchestrated the public data leak. He activated the hidden trigger, unleashing a torrent of undeniable evidence onto the global financial networks. The syndicate's meticulously crafted facade shattered. Documents detailing illicit stock manipulation, insider trading, and the systematic destruction of small businesses, including Mr. Henderson's hardware store, flooded the internet. The financial world was rocked by the revelations, a scandal of unprecedented scale. Marcus, enraged and cornered, attempted to silence Elias, sending his digital assassins to erase every trace, every shred of evidence. It led to a final, intense confrontation, not with fists, but with lines of code, a battle for information supremacy that would determine the fate of countless lives. Elias, armed with the truth and Clara's strategic interventions, prevailed. The syndicate, stripped bare of its secrets and its power, crumbled. Its members, from the lowest operatives to the highest echelons, were arrested in a coordinated global crackdown. Elias, despite his pivotal role in their downfall, faced legal repercussions for his initial involvement. He cooperated fully with the authorities, laying bare the full extent of his actions and the syndicate's machinations. His honesty, coupled with the undeniable good he had done, mitigated his sentence. Crucially, through the exposure, Mr. Henderson's business was saved, its assets frozen, and then returned. A small victory in a much larger war. Having served his time, Elias emerged a changed man. The ambition that once burned so fiercely had been tempered by the fires of redemption. He sought forgiveness from Lily, not just for his actions, but for the fear and misunderstanding he had caused. Their bond, though deeply strained, began to heal, slowly, painstakingly, rebuilt on a foundation of honesty and shared experience. He found a new path, using his formidable skills for ethical purposes, advocating for financial literacy and transparency, helping others avoid the very pitfalls he had fallen into. Elias understood now that true wealth wasn't about shortcuts or illicit gains, but integrity, hard work, and the unwavering love of family. He dedicated himself to rebuilding his life, not with grand gestures, but with quiet, consistent effort. Lily, now a young woman, looked at him with newfound respect, understanding his past struggles, seeing not just the mistakes, but the profound journey of redemption. One morning, standing with Lily by the window, watching the sunrise paint the city in hues of gold and rose, Elias felt a profound sense of peace. The light, warm and promising, was a symbol of a new beginning, a testament to having found redemption and a true sense of purpose. The lazy way to wealth had led him to darkness, but the hard road back had illuminated the path to a life truly worth living.